Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So, I'm working on my song, The Lover, and I'm trying to come up with, the BPM, the beats per minute, tempo, get the feel right. And this one is tricky. I don't play that many, solid chords. It's a riffing tune. And the opening riff was a little tricky to determine the correct beats per minute. And I've officially, so the way I do the metronome is there's a button here, over here, right under the logo of the Zoom. You'll look down and see this button that says tempo. Alright, I've got mine set at 109.0. And the way you adjust that is you just hit that tempo button, and then you can wheel, you can go up, go down with the wheel, however you want to go. If you want to bring the tempo up or reduce it, etc. And it took me, been doing this for like 2 days now. Been practicing the song a lot, but focusing on BPM for the past couple of days. And I had a little trouble getting that locked down. But I think I was going with 110 for a while. Then in some reason I had it dropped all the way down to 100. And I thought, leaving the house this evening, okay, 100 is going to be the one I get here, and now it's all the way back up to 109. It's really weird. At home, I was playing it through a YouTube link that had BPM, and you could watch the clock and listen. And I was doing that for a while and had myself convinced that it was 100. I get here and it's 109. I don't know. It's just different when you hear the music, and I don't know. It's just different up here when I put the headphones on and engage. The tempo seemed different. And the way I was determining it is the riff is like, it's like, okay, that's the riff. That's one thing going. And then you have the chorus. You have these little bits where you're going, and then later you're playing down up here. That kind of thing. So the main part that you have to get ready for is this part. So what I realized is at home, I was playing that at the speed that I liked, the tempo that's probably, the song at 109, and then I'd get to the riff and just kind of play it at any tempo that I wanted, free time, and that's not going to really work too well for a one-man band recording, because I need to have a solid tempo that I can rely upon, so that this riff will land on that tempo, and then when I go do drums, I can sit and measure that tempo by having the metronome on, and the fact that the guitar is landing on the one each time, it's landing on the beat, or not on the one, coming home to the one, but staying on beat. Then I can drum to that predictably, without hitting some spot where the tempo suddenly changes and you have to remember each time. And there's little things like that that happen. You'll get off and you'll have to sort of do some adjustments in your mind as you're playing the drums, like, oh, right here it speeds up just a tiny bit, or right here it slows down just a tiny bit, but overall, you want it to follow some order. So that's the point of it. You got to get the metronome, you got to get synced up with your metronome so that your drums can sync up with you, and then you can sync up with the drums. Usually after I get the drums recorded, I'm done with the metronome. I don't love having it on all the time. And what I'm doing this time that's unusual is that I've decided to just record with this amp, because I just want to have headphones off and have a tone that I can stomach, as opposed to just being locked into headphones with the sim tone and running through that thing, so that you guys can hear it, or the listener at home can hear what's happening as far as tracking. It's more fun to listen to this, and I can record it with external mics. And the way you do that, quite simple. The external mics pick up on track 7 and 8. I don't need stereo, so I just picked 8. I arm it by pressing it down so that it turns red. That way the track is armed. And then I go use the gain to get it, test it, and then use gain. Make sure that your master is at unity gain, which is 100. And then you go to that channel and you can boost the gain can put an effect on it, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm using this, strictly as a scratch track, a guide track to play drums to. I'm just building the song. This is step 2. Step 1 is writing it, and getting the arrangement together. Step 2 is determining the BPM and recording a guide track, a scratch track, like that I can drum along to, and then continue to build the song. So, let's see what happens. Now, one of the things I decided was when I had the headphones on and I was trying to play along to, I had an effect on and I was plugged directly in. For some reason I was just really, I guess the sound of the click, maybe because this is a riff, and this is just a 4/4 metronome going and this thing is moving around a lot. So it worked better to just stare at the light. And I've done that with drums, where you can't hear the click that well anyway, and it's kind of messing you up. Also, I've done that when I'm playing in another time signature besides 3/4. Besides 4/4, because the metronome only flashes and only clicks in 4/4, beat. But what I've found is even if you're playing in another beat, all you have to do is have the visual of it to look down to make sure you're still kind of referencing. You reference the light to make sure you're still kind of staying in that tempo groove, as long as the stick is coming, the snare is coming down when you see that light. Same thing with the stroke of a guitar note or landing, coming down on a note. I want to come down in time with that light flashing, And so I find that this time around, looking at the light is going to make it doable for me as opposed to having the headphones on and listening to the click. And that's just different for everyone. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to get this or not tonight, because I'm realizing now, after all the stuff I told you about, how this is like, I'm going to have to work at this to get this, down in a tape that I could leave on, leave the camera on and you're sitting there watching. I don't want to leave it on for like an hour or something, because it may take a minute to capture this. So I'll just see what's happening, and if it doesn't look like it's going to take off, I'll just capture it tomorrow after practicing a lot, and then once I get it down, I'll make a video about how I get the drums, because that'll be step 2, and that'll be a lot of work, because once I get this recorded, I got to go get on the drums and get that perfect, or as good as it can. And I found that if I just spend another day or 2 on it, it really comes together better than trying to rush and like suddenly get get this done today and then tomorrow quickly have 1 day of practice and then try to track it the next day. I usually find that that's too rushed. It would have been better just to wait a minute, Okay, so let's just see what happens. This opens with a note, like it opens with, and I'm using my fingers on the fretboard and just releasing it's kind of cool. It's like, I was thinking of counting to like 3 and then executing the riff. So it's like, and I'll be watching the metronome, trying to stay on beat, and I'll be playing the entire arrangement all the way through, so that then that builds the basis of the song. I drum to that, so on and so forth. This is how we build it. All right, so in the bridge pickup, I've got this on 9. Trebles on 4, basses on 4, and I've got this number 8, track 8. That mic is engaged. Just take this switch here, push it to the right where it says mic, just turn it on. Arm 8 or arm 7 and 8, or just 7, whichever one you want to use. I'm assuming 8 is on the right and 7 is on the left. And that's why I went with 8, because it's just right here. The mic is like, pretty much the same distance I have when I'm recording. I don't know where my little microphone stick is, but let's see how far away from the mic we are with this external mic. From the speaker. Yeah, it's literally like 10 inches, so it's almost the same as when I mic a cabinet. I'll do it like 8 inches out. This is like, here, I'll make it the same pretty much. Should be good. Okay, so now, I will yell out a count off too. 1, 2, 3, boom, wow, wow. And then, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yell that out. Just so in the drum position, I'll always know what's going on, where I am in the riff at that beginning point. That could get weird. And if I decide to do drums right there, it would be nice. Like if I decide to go on the bro, I don't know if I will. I may just let that stand alone and then start it on the ta-doon, ta-doon, down, down, down. You know, right after the bro. So yeah, it's a lot to take in tonight. I don't know if I'll get very far with it, but you can see what I'm building here and what I'm deciding to do. Okay, let's just see what happens if I crank it up and see how far I get. I'm doubting that far. I just keep thinking about all these little issues I got to think about. All right, so I'm going to count to 3, hit the note, count to 3. It'll be out loud, and then I'm going to try to see how far I can get through the arrangement. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I screwed it up, but I can see that this is going to work fine. Looking at it like this, I can tell that it's going to be hours of practice. I'm not going to capture it right now, but I did make a video showing you my process as far as determining BPM, which is the point of it, of the video. Hopefully that'll help somebody, you know, that's trying to figure out what to do on this. Let's just see what happens this time if I can get a little further. I finally feel comfortable, like just then. That's the first time I felt comfortable trying to do this. And so, yeah, it's going to take me a minute to get this song up and running. But luckily, I've got some other things I can do in between to just keep action going on the channel while I'm waiting for this to come together enough to record the rest of it. All right, so I'm going to do that same protocol again. The 1, 2, 3, hit the note, 1, 2, 3, yell it out loud so I'll have reference when I'm sitting over here. Okay, let's see what happens now. Hopefully this will be a little better. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, that's the idea. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm thinking I was doing more, sometimes doing more than 4 of those and sometimes more than 5. I've been training myself to get to where this, reaching for this 12th fret is, I'm not having to look at it anymore because I'm going to be doing this singing live, you know, or, you know, whenever I perform it. And it's difficult to find this while still looking at the guitar and having your mic here. I noticed it when I was, you know, recording the little testing. I had to move the mic to a certain angle to try to avoid that problem. But now I'm just trying to find the 12th fret each time, and with my mind, you know, like not having to look directly at it. So it's like just a thing to practice. It helps a lot being able to find things on the fretboard without actually looking at them. There's a clicking noise. I need to open this up and see if something's touching something and creating a little oscillation, or like the little picking up a tick, making it oscillate a little. It's weird. Alright, so you can see what I've got cut out for me, and you can see my method on this. Hopefully it's something that might help you with your one-man band recording or any kind of recording. But this is basically the protocol. Just got to get to, as you can see, it's just work. It's like how much time do you put in doing this. That's how, that's when it'll be ready. So you just gotta dig in and work. Won't happen from by accident. Alright, so I'm gonna get this done over the next day or two. Just get it completed, and then once I have that recorded, move to drums and play along to drums. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to work this part up, because that's the next thing, is you got to be ready to have that, because then that could be several days of grinding on that, trying to get the part together. So kind of have to be doing multiple things at a time, or you get in these slowdowns. Like you'll record something, then the next challenge is a big challenge, so you kind of slow down a little bit, finally get that done, and it can actually derail you from finishing if you don't stay on time. If you don't foresee these kinds of slowdowns, these mental slowdowns, you've got to foresee them coming, and you have to avoid burnout. Like if you go too hard and you're just getting fried on it, you've got to make sure that when you feel that fried feeling, even though you want to keep going, back off for a day or two, just let yourself clear, back to it. And so it's kind of a balancing act of not burning out and not getting distracted and not finishing, because you get distracted and you don't finish. I don't know how else to say it. All right, next time.